I would do as governor, because it's easy to pick on Jay Inslee, right?
Yes.
What would I do as governor? Because this isn't the first riot that has happened, but I would have spun up the National Guard as soon as things started getting out of hand, before they were even requested, and have them staged close by with the means to protect themselves and others. And as soon as local law enforcement and the state patrol said, hey, things are out of hand, we need help, they would have been there in minutes and not hours and days. And they would have shut the riot down, arrested the criminals, and shut it down to protect the good people that are there and the citizens that live and work there. That's their role. You cannot negotiate with international terrorists. You cannot negotiate with domestic terrorists when people are in neighborhoods and business areas terrorizing the community. You don't negotiate, or you end up in the mess that they're in right now. It's unacceptable, and it will not happen. So COVID-19, everybody's wearing their masks, I see. So Jay Inslee started picking winners and losers, right? He said which businesses could be open, which were essential, which were not. You know, if you owned a marijuana store or an abortion clinic or a big box store, you could be open. But if you had a gun shop or a hair salon or a church, you had to close. And that, we all know that's because the virus knows which buildings to go in and which not to, right? So ridiculous. When that started happening, I knew, okay, there's another agenda going on here. Obviously. The governor should never have that much power, ever. We have our God-given, constitutionally protected rights. Doesn't it feel great to exercise your First Amendment right to peaceably assemble? Article 1, Section 1 of the Washington State Constitution. The very first thing that the founders of Washington State wrote when they got together and said, let's form a state, let's write up a constitution. The first thing that they decided to put in there was Article 1, Section 1. And it says that the power is inherent in the people, and government's job is to protect citizens' rights. Isn't that amazing? If the power is inherent in the people, then why is Jay Inslee acting like a dictator and telling us what to do every day in our lives?
Yep.
It's unacceptable. So again, it's easy to pick on Jay Inslee. What will I do as governor when the next virus comes? Because we know it's not the first, right? It's not going to be the last. We've had bird flu and swine flu, Ebola, AIDS. We have never been shut down like this before for anything. And as governor, what would I do? Whether it's a war, whether it's a natural disaster, whether it's a virus. Just take the virus, for example. I'm governor, and a virus starts hitting. I would have press conferences with the medical professionals, because I'm not a medical professional. Jay Inslee's not a medical professional. I would have press conferences with the medical professionals and explain what the virus is all about, explain what we should do as citizens to protect ourselves, our families, and our businesses. What might happen if we don't follow the medical advice, and then as governor, make sure that the supply chain is as open as possible to get the equipment that's needed, and then let free individual citizens decide what's best for themselves, their family, and their business.
Amen.
Being a draconian draconian leader like he is and a would-be dictator is absolutely wrong. That is not the American way. You know, we are free to decide what's best for ourselves and our family, and if we own a business, for our business. If we want to open our door and require people to wear masks, that's entirely up to the business owner. And it's entirely up to the customers whether they want to do it or not. Article 1, Section 7 of the Washington State Constitution says that citizens will not be disturbed in their private affairs. Why don't they teach us that in school, right? I think Jay Inslee's been disturbing us in our private affairs for a long time, and it's going to end. I know how hard it is to run a business in this state. I ran my own business for over 20 years. It's very tough. This is not a business-friendly state. As a young business owner, I got behind on my state taxes. You know, some contractors don't pay you. When you're a subcontractor, you don't get paid by contractors sometimes. First thing I always paid was my employees, and then my bills, and then the state. Well, sometimes there's not enough money left around for the state. And let me tell you, I can tell you from firsthand experience that they are not very business friendly because they shut you down immediately. They freeze your bank account and everything. Taxes and regulations are killing our small businesses. The first thing I'm going to start doing when I'm in office is eliminating burdensome regulations. Yes. Every industry is being strangled. You know, when's the last time you heard of regulations or taxes being lowered in this state? Never. They just keep piling on more and more and more. Well, we're going to start untangling that mess and freeing citizens of Washington State. Our government is there to serve we the people. We don't work for the government, even though now it seems like we do. Jay Inslee's acting like our boss, like our nanny, like our mommy and daddy, right? We are free people. The government is there to serve the citizens and protect citizens' rights, not oversee our daily lives. And I'm going to return freedom and liberty back to the state of Washington for the citizens. Yes. Individual freedom and liberty will reign once again. You guys are awesome. We have to return this government back within the confines of the Constitution. You know, that is a great thing, the beautiful thing about our founding documents. When our government abides by the Constitution and stays in its lane and follows the rules, the rule of law protects everyone equally. It doesn't matter your color, your gender, your age, your income. Everyone is protected equally when the law is applied and followed. Our Constitution has not been followed in decades. And that is the way we're going to return freedom and liberty back to the citizens where it belongs. You know, I'm not the establishment candidate. I'm not the party pick. I'm not the media pick. You know, I stood up for citizens' rights back in 2018 when there wasn't an election, nobody thinking about an election. I just did it because it was the right thing to do. And that's why I'm standing up once again, because the citizens asked me to. I don't care about the establishment. I don't care about the media. They're going to come after me. They're going to attack me. They already have. There was already a blackmail attempt against me. I shut it down as soon as I found out about it. There's going to be stories come out that I'm a bad cop, that I'm a dirty cop. Well, let me tell you something. To anybody out there that might be listening on the internet, you don't get awarded the key to the city for being a dirty cop. And I got the key to the city and republic from the citizens. I was awarded the Chief of the Decade from a Constitutional Sheriff's Association a couple years ago. You don't get awards for being a dirty cop, but they're going to come out with all kinds of stories, I guarantee it, because my campaign is the front runner. We are way out in front of all the other Republicans. And it's because of you guys. It's not because of me. I'm just the messenger, right? It's because of your support. There's no other Republican candidate that can get a group of 50 to 100 people together. And how many do we have here today? 400? Maybe? It's incredible. But it's not about me. I know that. It's the message. Individual freedom and liberty crosses both party lines. I'm hearing from people that have said they're lifelong Democrats, never thought about voting for a Republican in their life. But they feel like the Democrat Party has taken a hard left turn and left them standing in the middle of the road. And they've seen what I stand for. They've read American Cop. They've seen my website. They've heard me speak. And for the first time in their life, they're voting for a Republican, and they're voting for me. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. You know, people said when I first started running, well, you're never going to get support from the West Side. King County runs this state. You know, so many things. But we know there are more conservative-minded people in this state than there are liberals. We know that. Chris has run the numbers. You know, people don't say whether they're Republican or Democrat in this state, right, to vote. But through the analytics, we know that more people tend to be conservative. And not by a little ways, by a long ways. The problem is we haven't been motivated enough to get out and vote, some of us. So we need to make sure that all of our friends are registered to vote. Don't take it don't just take it for granted. Ask them. Make sure that they're registered to vote. And then make sure that they fill out their ballot. They're coming in a couple weeks. It's coming fast. So make sure they get their ballot filled out and get it turned in and registered. People can register right up to the day before voting.